so many books. Hello, welcome or welcome back. Today we are finally welcoming summer, and to welcome this season of reading outside on a blanket and feeling the sun sink into your skin, I have this entire stack of books to recommend to you. I personally am going for a soft girl summer this year. I'm having fun with my friends, I'm going to festivals, I'm enjoying some terrace, drinks on a patio, finishing work and the sun is still out, having cute little dates, just really romanticizing my life. And I have decided to break up this video of recommendations into 3 sections. 1, I have books that feel like summer romance movies. You know, just like a really good rom-com, and you're giggly and everything feels light and airy. It kind of feels like having a crush. You're just on cloud 9 and you want that feeling of, this is what it means to be alive and to be happy and love everything that's happening. I have a whole section for that. Like, genuinely think of intense happiness romance movie, and yeah, some third act conflicts, but they're necessary to really get you through the roller coaster and to the other side at the end. The second section is books that feel like a slow morning, because what I love about summer is how early the sun rises and how late it sets, but especially when it rises so early, I get to wake up and have more time for myself before I start work, before in the weekend you have to start errands and all that fun stuff. You just get time to sit. I like to journal a lot in the morning. In the summer, I'll go outside for a walk and sit in a park somewhere and journal and bring a book and read. So if you relish just that routine and peacefulness of a slow morning in summer when the birds are chirping and the sun is shining, I have a whole section for that. And lastly, this one kind of goes with the first section, but it's books that'll make you just in general romanticize your life. And these are, yes, romance books, but some are not just pure fiction romance. I have 1 memoir in here and I think 1 or 2 fiction, but that lean into romance and are just perfect for the summer season. So buckle up. I have some underrated, more unknown books in here, and then of course I have more popular ones, but these are just my quick fire recommendations for you because we are having a soft girl summer, hot girl summer. We're having whatever summer you want to have, but you should be reading these books. I just realized this entire stack is not in order of my sections though. First off, books that feel like a summer romance movie. Oh, there's something so special about summer. Maybe I'm biased because my boyfriend and I's first date was in July and we just got to have that whole honeymoon, falling in love, exciting stage, which still feels like it's happening, but it all sparked in the heat of summer, and I would not trade that for anything in the world, like any other season. And I know my friends who get crushes in the summer, and just it's so exciting. There's something so wonderful about going on these fun, spontaneous picnic dates or just walking around, going and romanticizing how fun everything feels because it's warm and nice out. So we have the most in this section, and let's get right to it. Starting off strong with book 1, surprise, surprise, Beach Read by Emily Henry. I mean, I had to. 1, just look at this gorgeous edition of the book. But I read this many, many years ago, and I still remember it so vividly, so well. It is my favorite Emily Henry book probably, and it is a heavier emotional book, which is part of why I loved it so much and why I think it works in this category, is because summer I think is the perfect time to let loose and be your full self and just have fun and capitalize on the moment, but still be in tune with your emotions and feelings. And I loved their story, how they get to know each other so intimately. It's essentially 2 writers trying to write in the other one's style to help them kind of out of this mini writer's block. I don't want to give too much away, but it does take place in such fun settings as well, and that's why it's just perfect for summer. It doesn't really take place by like a tropical beach, so don't assume that from the title. I don't think you have to read it on vacation. You could read it wherever you live. It's just, it feels very cozy as well, but the third act conflict and all of the roller coaster of emotions we go through with the main characters is incredible to follow, and you will probably binge this, and it feels like sunshine in a book. even though it is very emotional. And that's why I loved the like juxtaposition of all the feelings I had with this book. Next up, we have Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. This is not one of her most popular ones. I think it is still well known, of course, but it's not like The Love Hypothesis. But I loved this book because, once again, the romance and relationship between the two main characters just felt so fun. It's such a good premise, and I had myself giggling so often while I was reading this. It is fake dating trope, and it's done so well. It doesn't feel corny, it doesn't feel cheesy. When she gets one of her clients that she's fake dating, it ends up being really funny, like how that ends up to the guy that she ends up with in the book. I thought it stood out from her other books, and I've never seen fake dating done in a way that I enjoyed as much, because I always found that a trope to be a bit unrealistic, and like I never saw how it would happen in real life. But this is almost so ridiculously funny that it worked. Essentially, she has like a side gig where she is people's fake girlfriends for them. Like if you have to go to a wedding and bring someone, or your family is expecting you to bring someone to Thanksgiving and you just don't want to ask questions, or I think for a lot of them, if they're closeted and they just want to like bring someone to show face, she does that and is just their buddy. And anyway, all of that unravels in a different way. It does also take place in the STEM world. I think she's a physicist, or she's a scientist, researcher, and I think so is he. I read it many moons ago, but it was mostly the relationship that I loved. I thought they were really compatible. I mean, as they should be. It's a romance book about them. But I laughed so much. The situations they end up in where they have to play out certain things because people know her as one thing, but then she's on call to be something else. It was a great time. Honestly, it was light and airy and funny, and what more could you want? Next up is a whole trilogy, but I just have the first one here. It's Things We Never Got Over. I mean, from the cover alone, these flowers, I also had the other one. I have the third somewhere in my stacks, but these are just such beautiful editions I got. And this is Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score in the Knock 'Em Out trilogy. This is the epitome of small town romance. Cozy, so good. But why I put it in this category of romance movie, so a bit more intense versus the other two categories we have coming up, the subplot of mystery and almost like FBI solving a case was really intense, and I thought it brought such good pacing to the book because the romantic development between the main characters is quite slow burn. Like this is a meaty book, but it's so worth it. Also, I think her name is Daisy, which just feels very summery to have a flower name. Nope, her name is not Daisy. His nickname for her is Daisy. That's what it is. But I really loved it. Picture like they kind of have a farm. It's not really a farm, but it's just there's a lot of land and nature and hiking, and in this small town, and everyone knows each other, and the local cafe and the local grump of the town, and she's just this sunshine. The first one is very grumpy sunshine. Kind of all of them are a bit grumpy sunshine in the trilogy, but in funny reversed ways. And it's found family. It's so good. I have seen online mixed reviews, funny enough, especially when it was a lot more popular, but I loved this trilogy, series, whatever, even just the first book if you want to give it a try. I think summer's the perfect time to read it because a lot of the events that take place in the book, if I remember correctly, it just kind of happened throughout the year, but it just feels so summery because it reminds me of a lot of summer or romance movies. What's that Long Way Home? What's that small town romance movie? I don't know. Picture a small town romance movie, like Hallmark, but actually really good and not Christmas. That is this book. Next up, I have The Mistake by Elle Kennedy, and this is the second book in the Off-Campus series. Candidly, I would just tell you to read the whole series, and I probably would have shown The Deal, which is book number 1, but it's somewhere in those stacks. And I found The Mistake, which is the second book. It's Logan's book. If you have watched this series, which, hello, I hope you have, it's incredible, and they already got renewed for season 2. This is such a fun book. Yes, it takes place at university, Briar University, which is this fictional world that they live in. It still is, I think, perfect for summer because the twists and turns are just out of this world. A book I just realized I should have included in this recommendation video, but it's like, duh, it feels so obvious, is The Summer I Turned Pretty. So I'm also recommending that to you. I'm just like thinking of prime TV show adaptations at this point, but I loved the Off-Campus series. Everyone has to read it because you all have to watch the show so that we can all talk about it together. But The Mistake is the second. It's Logan's book, and he has a pretty unexpected journey, I would say, and it was really fun to watch because in the first one, you feel very bad for him. He's in love with his best friend's girlfriend, essentially. Tough situation to be in, man, because they're not breaking up their end game. So he finds his own end game. Last one in this section is arguably one of my favorite books of all time, One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. This is the second, technically, book in a mini series. It can be read as a standalone. You, however, I think need the context and background of the first one to absolutely fall in love with Charlie like I did. He is the best fictional man ever written. Hands down, I stand by that. The banter, his kindness, his generosity, how natural he is, how safe he makes everyone around him feel. He felt like such a real, imaginable person. He reminded me a lot of my boyfriend, and I just ate it up. It was so fun to watch. I read it in one sitting, and I genuinely laughed out loud so many times throughout so many pages. I want to go back and reread this book, actually, now that I'm talking to you about it. And I do have 2 copies because this is my signed one and this is the one I actually read so that I could highlight and tab a bunch of pages. I have so many things highlighted and tabbed. It's insane. It was such a good book. It was such a good book. We're sparring and it's easy. Yeah, the banter, it's enemies to lovers but kind of friends to lovers. She has this bucket list for summer that she wants to check off and he helps her do it, and I think they're in their 30s and it's all in the title, One Golden Summer. I want you to have one golden summer, so pick up this book, please. It's my favorite book. You need to. Okay, second section. Here we have just 2 books where if you're trying to look for ultimate soft girl summer, like slow morning, peaceful, the air is a little bit chilly and you hear the birds chirping, but you just have a hoodie on and maybe shorts, like it's that perfect weather to just you have a cup of tea or coffee in your hand and you're enjoying life. Well, firstly, I've got Wild Love by Elsie Silver. This is the first book in her most recent series, and it's perfect small town. It is single father trope, which I think just adds to that coziness because there's a family involved, but it's very relaxed. Like nothing feels really intense in this one, even though he's a billionaire. Ford Grant, the billionaire, I think he's like the most eligible billionaire in the world or something. That's kind of how we find out he's this instant bachelor, and like she doesn't really care about that, but they fall in love because of their personalities. It's just written so well because it's set in, I think this one's in British Columbia. It's British Columbia or Alberta. It's by a Canadian author, and the setting of knowing like they're at the ranch and all of the nature surrounding them. There's this one lake she loves to go to decompress and write music. It's such a beautiful story and felt genuinely like a slow, peaceful transition into healing and finding love again and finding purpose. And it was so beautiful to read. None of it felt daunting. It is emotional, but it didn't feel intense. I think that's the best way to describe it, which is why I put it in this category, and I highly recommend. I gave it 5 stars. And it's a cowboy romance. I don't know if I mentioned that, but I said the ranch. So also in this category, I have Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which is technically more general fiction with a romance subplot, but I thoroughly loved this. I read it last year for book club with my friends, and I truly think it was bite-sized enough, and the start is quite slow, which felt really nice. You could ease into the story, the romance in the background, and the relationship she has with her family and how much she cares for them, and even with her work and her colleagues. It was so cozy to me. And maybe people might disagree because it's a book about space and like NASA and space travel, which should seem intense. I think the writing style just made it feel so easy and natural to read and enjoyable and slow. I don't think you need to binge it, which I really liked about it. I did read it quite quickly, but I don't know if you feel like that pressure of, oh my God, until the last 10 pages. Then you're going insane trying to figure out things, but that's truly only 10 pages. So I stand by this being like just a perfect summer morning. We're already wrapping up with the third section, which is 2 books that'll help you just in general romanticize your life. This first book, Heartless Hunter, which is number 1 in the Crimson Moth series, and it's by Kristen Ciccarelli. This is a romantasy, but let me tell you, the romance is definitely a big part of it. Like, I would genuinely say a 50-50 split of the fantasy part and the romance part. She is the Crimson Moth, and she is undercover, kind of like a spy, trying to fight the bad guys, but low-key the bad guys are the government, and then he is set to hunt her. Like, that's what he's charged to do. She is a witch, and in this world, witches have all been banished and burned and destroyed because they got too much power, and there's this whole world building aspect that's done so well. And it was so fun to read, but it didn't feel very dark in the sense where I would say read this in fall or winter. You definitely can just read it anytime, but I loved reading it last year in summer because I sometimes listened to an audiobook. I did half audiobook and then reading the physical, and I loved listening to this on walks, like walking around in summer, looking at the trees, at the grass, at the water. It was just such a perfect vibe, and that's why I'm recommending it to romanticize your life, because listening to audiobooks and going on walks in summer is one of my favorite hobbies. It is so fun. If I don't have my best friend or like my boyfriend to go on a walk with, I'll listen to an audiobook, and I just love life. And I kind of feel like I'm in a movie, but I'm just romanticizing what's happening around me and picturing this whole fantasy world in my head. Honestly, if you haven't given it a try, fantasy books on audiobook, top tier. And to wrap up, Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. Such a good book. Oh my goodness. This is my signed copy where I met her at a book event in London, and that's what she wrote for Laura. I got you. Love, Dolly. I read this book at a time where I really needed it. I was down bad. I was not enjoying my summer. I was spending my summer emotionally in shambles. And this got me through. It really did. It showed me, again, how important female friendships are, and family and values, and messing up but finding your way. It's essentially just a book about being a human and loving in general, loving a partner, loving a friend, loving work, loving anything. Love is such an abundant but complicated feeling, and I don't know, it's such a big part of summer, I feel, because summer feels emotional in all the best ways, whereas winter I think we associate with like negative emotions. Summer is just so warm and wonderful and enjoymentful. That is not a word. But this book almost reminded me and grounded me on how important it is to stay true to who I am when it comes to loving anything. And it's such a beautiful way to romanticize your life. Also, you'll just feel so cool reading this because her stories are so funny, but then they make you reflect on your life and who you love and what you love to do. So yeah, highly recommend. I'm gonna leave it at that. I just talked your ear off about quite a few mini books, but I am so excited to read as much as possible this summer, and hopefully have a whole new huge list of recs for you by the end of it. I know that I want to be spending all my days outside soaking up the sun with sunscreen, of course, and just reading, spending my days reading. I know that's what Ella would like as well. I also, side note, am moving in less than a month, and I feel like it'll be the perfect time to just enjoy my new home and really make the space feel cozy by reading in it and like setting up a whole library and everything. But we'll get to that. I really want to prioritize reading because it makes me feel so good. Also, my Aura ring, I always get in the restored state for my stress levels when I'm reading, and I need more of that. I need more restored moments, and reading helps me get there. So that is all for today's video. I'm ready for a soft girl summer. I hope you are. What are these terms? Like, we went from hot girl summer to soft girl summer, but I'm here for it. I'm loving it. Let me know if you've read any of these books in the comments below. If you have recommendations for me on how I can read my soft girl summer away, I'd love to hear it. So let me know. But that is all. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, night, evening, morning, whenever you're watching this. And